In order to help people understand the white horse scene in the 2024 Nosferatu remake, I explained the folklore behind that. To recap, there is a belief that if you suspect that there's a vampire, in order to find their resting place, you have a virgin ride a pure white stallion through a graveyard, and any grave that the horse stumbles over or refuses to step on contains a vampire. I happen to mention that usually it was a 6 or 7 year old boy who was fully clothed, not a naked 20 something year old woman. And let's face it, that scene is very male gazy, and it was not necessary to have her be naked. But I've had a lot of people try to justify it, saying, oh, it's a Godiva reference. It's a reference to Lady Godiva. I don't see that. First of all, if you haven't heard the fable of Lady Godiva, basically her husband was taxing people a whole lot. She wanted him to lower the taxes. He was like, I won't lower the taxes until you ride naked through the town. She rode naked through the town with just her long hair to cover her. It doesn't make any sense in the movie, honestly, to have that girl naked. It really doesn't. I know you're going to say, oh, but vampires are a metaphor for the rich preying on the poor. That's a relatively modern thing. Yes, it kind of started in the Victorian era, but it's still modern when you take in all of vampire folklore. There are records in the church or whatever passed for law enforcement at the time of people reporting real vampire activity. And the people who were accused of being vampires were the poor people. But it was just whoever recently passed away that was a little bit odd in life. It was the woman who was too intelligent. It was the person who nowadays would be diagnosed with autism or ADHD. It was somebody with PTSD. It was anybody who was seen as a little bit of an oddball, a little bit different. They're the ones who would get accused of being vampires after they already passed away, mind you. That's why you get folklore saying that if you have red hair, you'll become a vampire after you pass away. And that's because that happened in areas where red hair was a very rare thing. The seventh son of a seventh son would become a vampire. A werewolf would become a vampire. A witch would become a vampire. It was just anybody who was seen as odd or different. It really was. So yeah, that whole nudity thing has nothing to do with Lady Godiva.